Welcome to More Than Mindset, the only podcast that bridges the gap between spirituality and success. Go beyond the mind with clarity and confidence coach Kim Guillory and learn how to integrate your passion to serve with your skills and experience to create a business you love. Let's get started.
Hello, and welcome back to the show. Guys, I came back from the biohacking conference, so excited and lit up, ready to shop, buy all the things. And just so you know, I have inspired myself back into action. I've been having a lot of conversations with Erin, who is also my guest today, just so happens, but we've been talking a lot about menopause, perimenopause, the challenges, and also like the magic of menopause. There's actually some good things about it. And what we were talking about this morning, Erin, what was the name I wanted to call the thing?
Melting. Something about melting.
The menopause meltdown. So
Yeah.
tell me, do you think that would be interesting? We could change this show title to the menopause meltdown. We might get into some of that stuff, but for the most part, I invited Erin on. She's one of my clients in Boss Up. She's been with me since, I think you said February, the beginning of the year.
Beginning of February.
Yep. We've been connected for a few years on social media. I think I was on your podcast a few years ago.
Yep.
And she has been growing her business. She's going through major changes, and she helps menopausal women drop the weight and the mental drama, the mental baggage, everything that comes with menopause and what we've been taught about menopause. And she's killing it. And I wanted to come on and kind of tell the story around when you are growing your business, what kind of things do you have to overcome? And one of those is getting haters. That is something that you've been getting lately, more exposed you are. So I'm just going to let Erin introduce herself, and then we're going to jump right in.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Kim. It's exciting to be here and just having these conversations are so great and I love them. But yeah, I'm Erin and I help midlife women lose weight and have energy. It's really as simple as it is and really bust through the myths that we are being programmed. Well, should I say melt away the myths that that we are being taught about midlife and about perimenopause and menopause so that we can live the best years of our life. So yeah, and I'm a mom of 3 and I've lost almost 60 pounds myself, fixing my own, body and learning all the things that we're not being taught and finding out that it's actually a lot simpler than what we're being told. So yeah.
Love the word simple.
Yep.
So take me back to when you were at your highest weight before starting to lose this. We kind of talked about this recently when you, or maybe even I read it on your social media. It might not even be that you and I talked about it, but it was when you just kind of like settled into just being the heavier person. There was a moment, right, that you were just going to be okay with it. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever forget this. It was March of 2023 and I felt horrible. I didn't know how bad I felt until, right. I think that's a pretty common thing. Like we don't really know how bad we feel until we start to feel better. And that was been my experience, So I tried to convince myself that at my highest weight, our hormones were tanked, like literally tanked. The woman that I was working with, she was like concerned because of what was going on the labs and the testing that I had. All the stuff, all the numbers were cortisol, all the stuff. Wasn't sleeping well. Just so many things were going on. So no energy. And yeah, it felt so overwhelming and so, what do I want to say, daunting at my highest weight to think that like, oh my gosh, I have to lose this weight. It felt impossible. It felt like there's no way I'm going to be able to do it. There's just no way. And, I tried to convince myself that like I was just meant to be heavy, that I'll just get comfortable being heavy And I was like, well, they make cute clothes now for, bigger girls, and I'll just have to go to some of those stores that cater to that and just really start to get really comfortable with that. And I tried to convince myself to do that
Until
until there's a few things within that led to the until. Hmm. But I remember seeing a woman that I knew very well and I loved very much go upstairs, like up a flight of stairs. And she was fairly, heavy, probably similar to where I was at actually at the time. And she had to hold the railing to like launch herself up. And I remember like,
Mm.
I don't ever want to have to do that. I don't ever want to have support because I can't support myself, because I can't support my own body weight. That was one of the things. And just seeing people like, so I broke my ankle too. Okay. So I was immobile for like 2 months last summer. I couldn't walk. I had no weight on it. I'm on a scooter. I was able to literally relate to the people at Walmart and at the stores and these scooters. And I thought, if I don't do something, I'm going to be that in less than 10 years max. And I was like, fuck this. I'm not going out like this. Sorry if I just swore. I don't know, but
I for sure
I'm like, fuck this shit. I am not going out like that. There's no way I'm doing this, And my background is fitness training and nutrition coaching. And there was a lot of shame because I felt like I should know what I need to do. And I'm at my heaviest weight. And I was embarrassed. Oh, there was so much emotion around it. But I was like, nope, I'm not doing this. I'm not ending up like that. I'm not going out like this.
I love that you said that because, working with wellness practitioners, this is the thing I hear so often is it's very hard for them to grow their business whenever they're not actually being the example of what they're telling other people to do and how much that sets them back and slows them down. So you're like, I can help you with anything. And it's like, I can't even help myself. This is subconsciously going on. So I totally get that. So the two moments or really that speaks to me. My biggest story is like when I go to Walmart and they're like getting the scooter and they're trying to get out the car and they have to help each. I'm so scared of that. What is it? That? Why do it's these thing that scares me more than anything else.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
To
I
lose my
think that
vitality, to
yes,
lose my
freedom,
control,
freedom.
to like I don't know. Oh my God, I totally get both of those moments. And those have been really good for my growth. Watching, like, I remember my nail clients having knee surgeries, shoulder surgeries. I remember the client that had both, and like she couldn't get out the chair. And I'm young, so I didn't realize this was a thing. But when you get out the chair, you push down, and she couldn't do that. And man,
Wow.
I was like, back in the gym, back in the gym. I'm going to keep exercising. And I think about Jane Fonda, who that's one of the things she's most grateful for is that she exercised so much of her career
Yeah.
and that how that has helped her, not living this long.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's movement. If we don't move our bodies,
It's the muscle loss, right? And that's something that we battle with menopause. And what about the history of dieting most of our life as women? 30,
yep,
40, 50 years of dieting
yep,
and then losing the muscle
yep.
and then hitting menopause and then losing the hormone and the muscle and the elasticity and
And then
then not wanting to be seen in public, the shame of the wrinkles, like so much of that happening and us being told or believing that we can't restore it. That's really what I want to talk to about because you
yep,
are restoring it. This is the example that you are setting,
yeah,
not just melting the fat and the unwanted stuff away. You've rebuilt the, you've healed your metabolism.
yep,
You've organized your energy in a way that it's endless.
yep.
What else? What else would you say that you're surprised that you were told wouldn't change, that it would just get worse as you got older, and you've actually
Hormone,
reversed?
hormones.
Mhm.
My hormones, my cortisol levels, right? Like, I'd wake up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Had a hard time getting back to sleep. This is, before. And by the time I'd finally get back to sleep, an hour later, it was time to wake up for the day. And the narrative is, well, just get used to that, oh, this bad cortisol, right? And this hormones. And it's like, it's one of those things where I've actually reprogrammed my cortisol to spike in the morning when it's supposed to spike, because it is supposed to spike. Cortisol's not bad. It's just, let's see, there's one time a day that it spikes. So I'm learning all these things and I'm like, oh, okay. How can I program my cortisol so it doesn't spike at 2 or 3 in the morning, that it can actually spike at 7 a.m., 6 a.m. when I need it to spike, when I need to get things done. And so that's what I've done. And just sleep is so much better. So yeah, hormones. I mean, hormones is a huge story for women in midlife. Hormones. I mean, oh my word. Crazy.
And it's pretty interesting because we titled this How to Handle Haters.
Mhm.
And you're getting a lot of hate around the claim and even your own truthful story.
Yeah.
You're getting haters and disbelief around, are you a doctor? That's not possible. Can you prove it? So, since I should have started the hook with this, but I knew we'd eventually get here. Tell me how that was for you to actually be the example
Yeah.
that went against the norm, and then to be told, like, basically, you're a liar.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, it's, to be honest, I mean, it's startling, right? And it's like, oh my gosh. And I'm used to people in a way like not liking me. I've always been one to go against the grain, in anything that I do, or challenge, authority, challenge the status quo. But when there's a bunch of women, and it was women that don't know me, and I'm trying to help, because they're asking a question, it's confusing too. It's like, I'm just trying to help you. Like, why are you arguing when I'm trying to help and give you like literally free tips on something that maybe could help you, maybe not, but it's not going to cost you anything to try it. It's not going to, it's not going to do anything. And yeah, to get the response that I've gotten in some of the ways has been really interesting. And, but it makes sense after, we've chatted about it, and after you said one thing, and do you want me to share it right now, that literally got me? I was like, that's it. Like, that's it. Where, and this might be like the punchline, but like, but like, to a victim or a victim mindset, a solution will always be the enemy.
Yeah.
And that's literally what took me out and helped me reframe, I guess, how I looked at it. And I've shared that already now with like a few people of like, this is so good. It's so good. And well, the other thing that you said too is like, what we have to offer and our service that we have to offer, we have to believe in it. I'm getting chills even as I'm saying that, more than people are arguing with us, or it's something like that. Those weren't your exact words, but it was like, are we so led by our service and our call to be of service and what we want to help people with, that we are able to not let that take us down, right? Like, how big is my call? How strong is my call to help people? Because there are people out there who do want this, and there are people who don't, and it's okay. And it's recognizing that. So those are the two things that you had said, that when all of this started to happen, that I thought, yeah, you're right. Like, this is it. Like, this is it. And I had to get real with myself too, of like, do I want to do this? Because it takes an enormous amount of strength within myself to keep forging ahead, where before I don't know if I would have in the way that I am now, but I have support now too, where I wouldn't have had support before too. So, there's many factors, but yeah, that's what helped me really start to reframe it.
For the first point, because I don't mean victim in a negative way. I mean, when we're the victim of life or the victim of a circumstance, the enemy is the solution, especially when it's subconscious and there's some sort of secondary gain that we're not aware of at the time. Do you remember a time when you were at the mercy of your body and your age and your circumstance and hearing someone's success,
Yeah,
hooting on it? Do you remember? And
absolutely.
can
I
you
mean, I've done it
get
many times in my life,
yeah,
many times.
can you pull compassion and empathy in that moment? Because man, it's so bad to hate like that because of what it's that envy and resistance and hate because you don't believe you can have it. You
Yep.
don't believe you can have the resolution. And so everything in them is just like "Argh," against it. And I've been there too.
Yep.
And I didn't realize how harmful it felt to the person who was offering the solution. Now to be on the other side of that, so much empathy and compassion for the ones tried to offer a hand or
Yep.
who tried maybe in their own way to give a solution. And I
Yeah.
just didn't see it or receive it because I didn't know how I could get it. I
Yep.
was like, you don't understand me, right? The unicorn syndrome. You don't live this. You don't have a size 10 foot or a 5'9" body or live in Louisiana or have 5 kids and food all the time. And like, I couldn't. I couldn't. So
Yep.
I had to find that place too because the hate was really shutting me down. I
Yep.
mean, it's disheartening. It's like once you get it together for yourself, it's like you have all this energy that used to be sent on fixing yourself that all of a sudden it has no place to land. And there's this desperate need to serve and to give, to feel that old habit of fixing and fixing and fixing when you no longer need it for yourself. And man, it's one hell of a lesson to learn in business. This is like the wounded healer. Like
Yeah.
we summon all of this energy to heal ourselves and we stay in this trying to solve our wrongness or whatever, it is about ourselves that's incorrect. And then you know that because you've come to the place to where you're in love with yourself and your life,
Yeah.
and really accept the call and like just feels right.
Hmm.
And then we naturally want to give. I mean, it just
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing that's been probably one of the biggest ahas on my journey is, and this is what I really love to share with women as well too, is our physical health is really the foundation of our mental, emotional, and everything else. And if we don't have that in line, we're not able to show up for our family. We're not able to show up for our business or our job or our friends or anything else. There's no way that we can. We don't have the emotional capacity to do it if we're not physically like optimized physically. We just don't. There's more to it than that. That's basically, we just don't have the space to do it, within ourselves because we don't have the energy. We only have the energy literally to survive. It's get up, get my stuff together, go to work, get home, do the next thing the next day. And there's nothing more left to give. So then when we see someone on the outside with all this, like, we either, number one, and this is where I've been before, like it must not be real. It must be faking it because I'm not experiencing that. So that can't be real. Or if we've experienced it before and we know it's real, and then we see somebody and then we're like, "Shit, why did I let myself get
mm,
back to where I know?" So then there's that shame within ourselves of beating ourselves up as well too. So, but yeah, I mean, our physical health is the foundation of everything.
how about the like what you were just saying? How about the going a little further with that in having had it and then not being able to face, but what about the part of having have it and not being able to keep it? And so then not want to get it again to not lose it again.
Mm, yeah. Never thought about it like that, but yeah. Yeah.
Just when you just said that, I was like kind of tracking with you. And then it
Mhm.
was like, because I've lost weight so many times. And there was a point where it's just like, just not going to keep trying because the heartbreak
Yeah.
of,
No, it's true. It's like, I think there's a joke around there, like, I've lost 100 pounds in my life. It's like 10 pounds over and over and over again, right? Like the same 10
yeah,
pounds or the same 20 pounds, you know?
It's like the person that's too rich. It looks like it's too easy. It looks like there's too much of it. You have to either make them wrong or you wrong. Because if
Yeah.
we're the same humans with the same God source, with the same, like, what makes them different, it's like not wanting to even see that about ourselves. That's so interesting. So for the second part, so you said, so then you had to ask the question, do I want to do this? Do I? So I'm curious, what drives you? Like when you think about, I actually don't have to do this, or I'm going to do this.
Mm. Yeah.
When you're in the I'm going to do this, what's the driver behind it that you're willing to take the hate, take the heat, hear the rejection, like all of the stuff that we face every day that I don't think other coaches and business owners know that we go through. Like,
Yeah.
I really believe that there's this exciting part that people see online and they have no idea what we're going through every single day. We're in Boss Up, luckily for us that we're together every day,
Yeah.
just working and supporting through all of this stuff. What is it why are you willing to tolerate
Well,
that?
what drives me in my own health or just to keep showing up for in
For
service
others.
to others?
You didn't have to give those ladies anything. Like you could just step away. Why would you? Why would you keep going? Is it because it helps you, or is it because there's something in you like
That's a really good question. It's I've always been one where I always have wanted to prove the impossible.
prove it?
My tagline,
You did me wrong. I'm gonna do it even more.
yeah, like my tagline before was, what else is possible that we've never even thought of like ever before? Like I loved that saying. I think it was like Dane here that actually like I got the from Access Consciousness, it's like what else is possible? It's like, ooh, I love that. And leave it open-ended, right? So I'm I've kind of adopted that over the years and it's like I've always had this let's show people what's possible. Let's show people what's possible. And I want to show these women that because I've been there too. I've been there. I've been there when I thought it wasn't possible. And then I've shown myself that it is possible. And so I guess what drives me is it lights me up when I get messages from people saying, "Oh my God, I was always groggy in the morning. I needed a nap in the afternoon. And now I'm actually able to do yard work and to spend time with my kids. And I'm still awake at 8 p.m. where like before I would have literally been crashed like on the couch with no energy at all because I see other people getting their life back because I know how that feels. I know how it feels to want to give up. Like, I know how that feels. So I know that there are women out there that are like, this is not possible. This can't be possible. And it's just that, like, it is possible. It is possible. Like, you just need support and you just need the correct information. That's all you need. And you've been fed so much freaking bullshit and lies. And it's not your fault, It goes back to, like, it's not your fault, but now it's like, let's do something about it, like, take my hand and let's go, And anyway, so that's I know what it feels like to not have hope and to almost give up on yourself, and, um, I know you don't have to. I guess that's what drives me.
It's the disheartenment when I come from the like you're saying, like the bullshit that they fed you, like the you're giving this is possible, and then you're getting all of this crap thrown at you because of believing.
Yeah.
There's almost like a part in me that like gets stronger, like a mama bear part
Mhm.
is like they're like because you get drowned out by those negative voices, right? There were more of them than you. Can you imagine what these people are facing every single day in their families, on the media, on like everywhere? It's like it summons something in me. And I like it. I want it. I need it to
Yep,
stay in the game, you know?
absolutely.
And so I'm kind of wondering, like, the hate being the fuel
Mm,
to stay in the game. Like, thanks for filling me up. Thanks for putting some
yeah.
ads back there. Ooh,
Yeah.
thanks for that one. Because now
Yep.
you're showing me what they have to face everywhere as they go, even in groups that are supposedly supporting them.
Supposed to be supportive. Exactly. Exactly. And it's, yeah, no, and it's, it was a realization for me too, because I mean, I've set up my life over the years completely different than, I would say the, average person. And so it's a real, like, live, like, look into when you hate your job and you're not in a relationship that is satisfying and you have stress all day long. And because of that stress and because of the anxiety and all these things, you're grabbing food that is just draining you even more. And it's just this endless loop and loop and loop and loop. So when I see that, it kind of brings me back to the reality of where most women are. And it helps me to get back to that.
Yeah. That's grabbing food because you don't know what else to grab.
Yeah.
It's like the brain just goes, "Roop." Like, it's so easy to fall back into that without even knowing it.
Well, we're sold convenience for years, right? And I've said this over, like, convenience is what's killing us. Like, there's a level of, like, simplicity, right? Like, love simplicity. And just like every asset can become a liability, too much simplicity can be dangerous also for us too in so many different ways, right? But that's what we're sold because we're just like trying to survive through life. So we just grab whatever's there.
Well, it's interesting. It's one of the dynamics of the brain. It's
Mm,
lazy. It needs instant gratification, and its job is to preserve energy.
yep.
And so it takes more energy
Yep.
for the non-conveniences.
Yes.
And so you're being marketed to against that. That's what it drives me crazy, those recliner chairs where you push the button and you don't have to get out because it sends you. I'm like, couldn't believe when that came out. It made me so mad because you quit using it. Doesn't matter how long it takes to do it. Still do it. It's like going to physical therapy. You've got to do it. I remember after my surgeries and not being able to stand on my foot or you have to use it.
You have to.
Like
Your
so oh
body
my
needs.
gosh, you just got me like heated on that one.
Well, our
Which
body, it's the thing, right? We're sold that our body wants to be comfortable. And that's the thing. It's like it's only when we're uncomfortable and we're putting these stressors on our body that we actually grow. That's it. But we have to like know that. And this is one of the things. It's like we get stuck in this, well, this doesn't feel good to me or whatever. Well, of
Right.
course it's not going to feel good to you because this isn't like it's not your the normal, right? So the brain's like, "No, I don't want change," right? Like, bring
Yeah.
me back to a sense of where I feel safe, you know? And we have to break outside of that. That's why support is so important. That's why I work with you. That's why women work with me because when we make any change in our life like this, our brain will want to take us right back to that level of comfort and safety, because we don't want the unknown. We don't want the uncertainty. And but that's where we grow. That's why we need somebody to lock arms with.
I don't know if they all want to grow either, though, and that's everyone's choice,
Yep.
but
And it,
it's definitely like it's okay, hon. We'll feel good later. Let's just
yeah,
feel
yeah.
good later. So I'm curious from your experience with this, because Erin has now filled up two groups, which I'm very proud of this. My goal is to help coaches get more clients, period. Coaches, healers, practitioners, whatever. And when we have clients who actually do that, I want to celebrate them because this is a big deal. This is your second group that you sell out in a couple of months' time. You started with
We-
me in February,
Well,
and
I just started the first group that I first filled up started April 18th. And then my next group started today. And so they were like 6, 7 weeks apart. So, I guess, yeah, over the last couple of months that I started doing this and having a group on this. Yeah.
so let's talk about how easy it was and effortless it was. Because it sounds like great. Erin just filled up two groups in less than 2 months. Kind of speaking of the discomfort and the unease and the underestimating the amount of action required. What have you learned through this process?
Well, honestly, I think this process has even helped me in my health too, because it's like anything, like to really have what I want, it is, I realize it takes way more effort and time and commitment to do those things and to have those conversations and to, keep reaching out to people because I generally like know it's like, you need this. I don't say that, but it's like, hey, like, let's do this. Right. And to continue to do that. I mean, even amidst the resistance, right? Even amidst the no responses back or amidst the, all of this stuff. Yeah. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of showing up. You got to show up. You gotta show up all the time. And one of the things I've learned along this too, and I tell my clients this now, and I repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, is the days that I don't want to show up are the days that I have to even more, because those are the days that are going to define my journey. And
You've
I
had
remember,
a couple of those experiences, right? I call it the 5-day experience. And then the other one, the heavy day, where it was just the harder work. That was recently, right before you really got things moving. So I'm curious if like what it is that you tell yourself. I know what our conversation was, but you took something from that, and I'm wondering if it would help the audience of like when they're feeling this like, yeah, when my back stops hurting, I'll do it again. Or yeah, I haven't like gotten up with the sun for a couple of days. Or today I'm just doing the basics. Like, so let's just use those three examples because I hear that a lot from my clients.
yeah, yeah,
What
for
do
sure.
you have for them? What could you give them when they're thinking that I'm just going to take a few more days off, or today I'm just going to do the bare minimum?
Well, first I would get curious and be like, oh, that's interesting. Like, why do you feel like you need to do that? And just kind of understand where their mind is, right? And then understand, like, one of the things that I try to do with my clients now in this program now is really prepare them about the mind drama, because it's like when I'm like normalizing it right away, he'll recognize it and it's not a surprise, right? But yeah, I mean, I guess, I mean, I would just get curious about it first. But one of the things that I realized for me, I'll just share a story about what my own mind drama that I had to overcome as well too. So maybe people can put this in their own life and resonate with this, is I was literally battling my mind in my car one day because I was going to the gym. I didn't want to go to the gym. Again, I was like, kind of tired right now, that whole thing, right? I'm not really feeling it. And we had an issue with our cat. One of our cats had just passed. And just stuff going on. I had a lot of external life shit going on, right? It's just life, right? Life stuff goes on. Sometimes it's harder, sometimes it's not. I had life external situations coming in that because of that, I was sad and I was emotional and I was like um navigating this. And so within myself, I remember sitting in the car in my driveway. I finally was like, nope, I'm going to the gym. So I drove to the gym. And then I got in the parking lot at the gym and I was doing the same thing for like probably, I don't know how many minutes, probably 5, 10 minutes. I don't even know. And what I did, which was actually the best thing that I could have done, was first, I did have compassion for myself because I was like, I'm not going to beat myself up right now. But I'm like, what do I want? What do I want for? I was just reminded of my goals because I try to allow my like my ideal self, like who I want to like pull me forward. So it's like, okay, what would she do right now? Kind of like what would Jesus do? Like now, what would future Erin actually do right now? Right? Like, all right, she'd go into the gym right now, and she would just do something, just something, right? So I went in, I was doing something, and I think this is when you reached out to me too that morning. I was at the gym and you're like, hey, I'm kind of getting to feel like, how you doing? And I was like, yeah, all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. And I actually then ended up going in deeper. I did more of a workout. I did more of like, I fell into that even though I didn't want to, and I did more. Like I leaned into the discomfort more. And you know what? By me being able to do that, I actually was able to feel everything that I needed to feel. And what I realized, I had an aha in that moment of like, oh my gosh, if I would have let myself off the hook, if I would have said, okay, you can go just take a day on the couch and you can just check out, that's that's when I bypassed everything that I was going through because I didn't want to deal with it. That's when I would put stuff in my mouth that I knew wasn't going to make me feel good. That's when I did the thing that I wouldn't have felt like that's not who I want to be. So in that moment that I'm like, oh my gosh, like when I lean in more is actually when I'm like moving through all the emotion, which is exactly what I needed at that time. And I got emotional. I was doing kettlebells, I was doing my stuff, and emotion came up and I just allowed it to come out. I wasn't like bawling at the gym, but I just allowed it to move through me. And I needed that. And you know what? That was one of the best things that I did for myself because it got me out of this space where, oh my gosh, before I would have listened to him and like, yeah, like, yeah, again, laid on the couch, just checked out, right? Just checking out, where I'm like, that's not supporting myself. That's not loving myself. So I realize there's such bullshit even around self-care. Like under the guise of self-care,
Mhm.
right? If I would have called up somebody like, whatever, it'd be like, yeah, take your day off, just relax, take some time. Oh, it's so hard, right? Rather than like, hey, what do you really need to do to support yourself right now? And that's the person I have to be for myself right now. And sometimes it's hard. It's really hard. I battled with my, I don't know how long in my driveway and in the gym parking lot. But that's what I realized. And I had one of the biggest ahas. I actually did a live on it that day because I was like, whoa, that is true self-care because that is how I show up for myself. And since then, it has like literally changed the game in how I do show up for myself. Like when I'm like the mind drama starts to go, it's like, could just go take whatever, just take a little break, whatever, go. It's like, is that what I really want to do? Is that really, really what so I just get really like curious about it now. And anyway, that was, so I don't know if that helps, people listening, but that was a example that I guess that I went through of, and here's the thing, our mind, like my mind, I'll speak for myself. My mind can make up any excuse to rationalize anything, and it sounds real good. It sounds real good. I mean, most 99% of people have been like, yeah, take a break, man. You've been through a lot, right? Like it sounds good. It sounds logical. And that's the thing to watch out for. And I've learned that a lot from working with you. It's just like, oh man, your mind is going to like take you for a ride. And it does. It does.
It's super tricky because some are gonna hate hearing this, and they're gonna have their story of how they overrode their own compass to please someone else. This is not what we're talking about. We're
No.
talking about you battling your old self for your new self. And I remember that day. I don't even remember what it was that made me reach out, but I remember the do more until you do feel like it came up after that for me personally too. And it was like that was the thing right there because it's moving through that next layer, that sheath, it's just right there, but the muck feels so slimy that
Yep.
you don't know, like it feels natural to go down with it. You don't know that you can actually
Mm.
rise above it. And that's that. Well, go into it. Don't disrespect it. Don't bypass it or turn it off. Go with it. I think that's what I was like, go with it. What
Yep.
could you get with where you are today? So when you show up feeling like this, what does that look like? It was like that wasn't even an option though in the mental space. It was like the black or white, the on or off. But it was like, no, we have to get used to showing up in some days 50, some days 50-50, some days 20-80, some days
Mhm.
90-10. Like you just so what would 90 look like? So what would 10 look like? So what would 100% of 10 look like? What would 100% of 90 look like?
Yeah, I like that.
And it's like, do it until, and right there on the other side, you'll fucking feel like you blew out of, you hit max limits, you went like over and beyond. And it was just that messy emotion, just like kind of doing its old thing. So it is very tricky. I get a lot of resistance around this when it comes to them getting on social media. That it's not different. It was you at the gym that day, but for the most part, it's when I'm telling a client, like, listen, if people don't know you and you don't have leads, you're gonna have to get on social media or you're gonna have to go pay someone to make you popular. I mean, or get referrals and good luck because everybody else is looking for those. And this is what it feels like. And I'm like, just do it until it feels good.
Yep. Oh, yeah. We just have this aversion of like, being uncomfortable,
Mhm.
and it's
At
like,
least if we had the results right then and there, it would be different. Like, I think let's just give ourselves some credit for this.
sure.
So, would we want to do more social media if we had someone listening and liking and following and telling us how amazing we are all fucking day?
Yep.
These podcasts, I'd be booming them out like 2 or 3 a day. I was like, they're so excited. It's so fun. I want to do more. I'm going to like clear up my book and just invite a bunch of people on and do a bunch of podcasts, and everyone loves it. Oh my God, it feels so good because I'm getting a pat on the shoulder. Feels like the sunshine just came on. Then when you put it out and it doesn't get any hits and you don't get any replies and no one responds because they're all watching, they're for damn sure seeing it, right? Or the algorithm's not sending it to certain pages. And it's like all of a sudden it starts getting heavy, 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 heavy. Sun just went out.
Yep.
Boom, boom. Now we're way in the bottom of the swamp and we can't get ourselves out. And that's when you pick up the heavier kettlebell because it
Yeah.
gets you out. The energy comes from inside ourself.
Period.
So you could either put a blanket over your head and cover it up, or you can push your feet down and pull it out, but it is yours. It's not coming from anywhere else. We summon the energy for what we want, but it's so dang hard to get past this monster up here. And if
Oh,
it's not ours, it's the haters
yeah.
because it comes from the world telling you you shouldn't push that hard because they don't want to push that hard. They don't want you to win because it shows them to them they're losing. They're like, shit, if she can take off 60 pounds, if she can take off 60 pounds, fuck her.
Yeah.
Because I can't take off 60 pounds. But if
Yep.
they knew they could beat you, and I think it's a thing with women too, having to outbeat the other one. It's a wicked, quiet little competition thing. And I guess is what happened in grade school and how we treated each other when we were kids. There's got to be something to it. Taking the boyfriend and taking the friends and
Yeah.
you trust and they stab you in the back and it's so sad. I wish we
Well,
could have more support for each other and ourselves.
no, I agree with you. And, a couple things came up as you were saying that. Like, I think there's this, like you're saying, just like kind of being average is what came up. It's like we have this, we want to move past average because that's where 90 some percent of people really are. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Like, it just is what it is. It's just, that's just what it is. I don't want to be average.
I
And
think there's something wrong with it.
yeah, well,
Average and gravity together means
yeah,
below average.
that's true. Yep, that's a good way to put it. So I don't want to be average. Like, and it's like I don't want to be average. And so it's it's like that is I mean, I'm the one that is always pushing harder for myself and is always like, let's see what else I can do. I remember when I first was a fitness trainer. Here's the funny thing. Just gonna share a funny story. I would mow the lawn and I had a hill on my this is when I lived in South Dakota and I had a hill on my lawn in my front yard. And I wouldn't just mow my lawn and mow my lawn. I literally would run and sprint and mow my lawn up the hill because it was harder. Because I'm always for a challenge. Like I was literally at Tractor Supply yesterday getting chicken feed. Like, do you need a cart? No, I'll carry the bag. Thank you. 40-pound. I'm like, no, I'm carrying the bag because I'm always wanting to challenge myself because that's how we grow. That's how, and I know that, right? And so, but your normal person's like, no, just give me the path of least resistance. That's what they're looking for. And I'm like, okay, that's boring. Like,
The brain, no, they just following their brain. Like,
I know,
it's like this is not going to take as much effort. It's going to preserve energy. I'm going to stay alive longer, which is
but it's not true. No.
fire.
Well, and that's the thing. So then that leads me to the next thing that made me think about it, where I was like, oh, this is an interesting way to look at at people and population. Is like there are people, most people, they don't. I can't remember where I heard this. It was on a podcast somewhere that I was listening to recently. They don't want to be healthy. They just don't want to be sick.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was an of like people they don't want to be sick. That's it. But they're not really interested in health. I'm interested in optimal health. Like I want to live to however I want to live to, and I want to feel good. Like I don't want to be in a nursing home, but I want to feel strong and I want to feel good. And those are the women that I'm looking for those women who are like, yes, let's freaking go. Like, let's be 90 and doing road trips. Like, I don't know let's be 100, whatever.
I don't care how
It's
long
possible.
I just care that I have wellness while I live.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that too.
Yeah.
All right, we are at the end of our time for this little spontaneous interview. We decided that we would get done today. So, Erin, you have a podcast. Your social media is where you hang out at. You want to tell them where that is? And we're going to put the show notes. We're going to link it to there and get a great photo of you. And Mallory will put it together.
Awesome. Yeah. No, my social media is just Erin Esser, really simple. And on Facebook mainly is where I hang out. And then my podcast is Thriving in Midlife. And you can find it on Spotify, Apple, or any other podcast format. So yeah.
And she is definitely thriving. 60 pounds. I remember the 40-pound threat. And you both made it through that hurdle. And now we're at 60. Did you even imagine it that day? That could be here in this short amount of time. Do you remember that breakthrough moment?
Oh yeah. I remember I was sitting in my car talking. I remember that in a parking lot. I do a lot of car talk, I guess. but but no, yeah, I remember that. And it was I literally thought I was sliding back and during that time. And that was a struggle moment for me. I had to get really real with myself. And
It was like a 5-day not at the gym kind of thing, but you were hiding it.
yeah.
Just kind of
Yeah, because I was like, oh, like I knew deep down that it was like something more than just like back pain. Yeah, my back hurt. But once I started to realize what was really going on, I was like, "Ah, this makes so much sense."
Thank you, brain.
Yeah. And thank you, Kim,
Just
for
keeping
your
it-
support and calling me out on that.
Not because I don't have to call myself out on it all the time.
Yeah.
Listen, we've got to, guys, when you find your power people,
Yeah.
help each other stay accountable. Check in on your strong friends.
Yeah.
We struggle too. Check in on the people who you think are badasses all the time. Check
We
in
just
on
won't tell anybody about it. We have to be checked on.
find your people, like so important. We're all struggling for attention. We're all trying to make this work. We're all trying to be an influence. We're all trying to keep it together for ourselves. Like I think if we could just open up these relationships and just like push out of love, like push out of what you would want for yourself.
Yes. Yes. That's service.
Especially when, it's like like I don't have anyone who pushes me. Like, well, my husband's getting a little bit better. I said, I think I'm going to see what it's like to take a year off. I've never done that. I've never even taken like a whole month off. And he says, go take a nap. You'll be better when you get out. Kids are like, no way, you're not staying home. Get back out there. So they're actually kind of giving me that now, but it wasn't like that in the past. They were the kind of, why do you work so? It's okay. You don't have to do it all. And I'm like, oh, that was terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible advice. No,
Yeah.
you definitely want to push your people to get above average, guys, because they're being pulled down by society that's telling them that that's fine. And now we want to avoid that scary thing you see at that grocery store, like that thing. That scares me. It makes me cry. Very,
Yeah.
very scared. I see it at church too. Very scary.
Well, and here's the thing that gives me hope, though. It doesn't have to be. We are in full control of that because it comes from the inside out, like you were saying. And that is the beauty of this. We have control to say yes, to our health. Absolutely.
All right, Erin. Thank you. Have an amazing day. Guys, go check her out. Follow her podcast and give us some love on social media. Give us some thumbs up. Let us know you like the podcast. Send it to a friend. Rate and review. These things matter. You want to support people and you want to be supported, support others. That's how it is. It's about supporting each other. All right, my friend.
Thanks for listening to this episode of More Than Mindset.